What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey episode number 146 presented by the Bar Room Network. My name is Vinny Parisi and I am ready for the divisional round. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller and he is not ready for the divisional round.
I'm ready for college.
College, March Madness.
Yeah, my LSU Tigers.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Frank, your heart was broken this weekend. We'll get to that in the third period. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it
We
is.
try to forget. It
Travis
wasn't a happy
says,
moment.
"Yo, what's up, boys? I liked this video. Did you? What
I
video?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Skoke says, dudes, what's up, dude? Tom says, happy Hawks beat Kraken Day. Yeah.
Joey DeCord.
Joey DeCord.
I assume he'll be in that.
You know what though? So last night I had a pounding headache. I was like wondering how the show was gonna go today. Last night, I had a pounding headache. I wasn't feeling good. I was like, oh no, am I getting Joey's cold? Because Joey's got a real bad cold. I went to bed at 11. 11.
Wow.
I normally go to bed. I normally go to bed at like 2, 3.
That's not like you.
No. The hockey wasn't over. When I closed my eyes for good last night, the Rangers were winning 2-0 over the San Jose Sharks. I woke up this morning and saw that Tomas Hertl completed the comeback in overtime. The San Jose Sharks, who are, I'm pretty sure they still remain dead last in the NHL, and the New York Rangers, who definitely are top 10 in points percentage right now, just 2-0 comeback to the Sharks. So I guess it is possible for the Hawks to beat the Kraken. I don't want that to happen. I'm firmly where I was last year. Lose. When Connor Bedard comes back, we could have a chat. But when they don't have Bedard in the lineup, lose.
I think the Sharks tied the Hawks in points.
They might have. Yeah, I'm all in on having a top 3 pick for the Blackhawks.
I think it's a guarantee. I think it's a guarantee.
There's a lottery, dude.
Yeah, they'll finish last and they're guaranteed third.
Yeah,
It's like a guarantee. I think they're going to finish last.
The Sharks are bad.
They've been playing fantastic. That's
They're
2 in a row, I think, for them.
Yeah, they have a minus 90 goal differential.
I know.
The Blackhawks are minus 64, which is bad. That's bad. But
I think the Sharks will pass them with ease.
I hope. I would love for the Hawks to have like a 10-point cushion of last placeness. That way, when Bedard comes back, maybe you could root for a couple wins in a row. That's always what I like, when you have last place locked up, and then at the end of the season, you can really root for some progress. But we'll get to the Hawks because I want to talk about something in relations to, well, we know what happened with the All-Star game with them. We're going to talk about the Hawks. I don't know exactly when, but there's something I want to mention in period number 1. I'll lead off with it, actually, Frank, because it's not written on the sheet. Because
I know what you're going to say.
It didn't happen when I wrote the sheet and sent it to you. But the Hawks extended Peter Mrazek this morning. Mm-hmm. He's getting a 2-year deal worth just north of $8 million. It's actually going to be an average annual value of 4.2 over the next 2 years. I feel the same way as I do about the Dickinson contract, the Foligno contract. For 2 years, the Hawks don't care if they overpay guys to just be good veterans. They don't care if their skill matches it. The next 2 years, Kyle Davidson is saying, just because we won the draft lottery, we're still sticking to that 5-year plan, because the end of the 25-26 season, that's the 5th year. That's the end of the 5-year plan. I believe they might be a bubble team that year. Certainly it's possible, but they plan to be a playoff contender after that 5 years is up. It lines up perfectly. They're not going to trade Mrazek this year. They could still next year, or no, 2 years from now would be the year they trade him. What's your reaction to the contract and kind of how the Hawks are kind of piecing things together? Maybe overpaying veterans a little bit for the next 2 years, but it doesn't really matter because it also lines up with when Bedard's entry level's done.
I'm so torn, to be honest with you. I could bat for both sides of the fence for this one, to be honest with you. I like it because you need a veteran like that. And Mrazek, he's been fantastic, and he could be a good backup goaltender because he's not going to be the goalie of the Blackhawks' future. I'm excited for Comesso to get his feet wet in the NHL, but he's still got some time to work there. But if you had like Comesso 1 and Mrazek as a decent backup at number 2, probably not going to get to that point, but I could understand why the Hawks decided to extend him. But on the other hand, he's been so good this year for being on the Blackhawks. His numbers are a little skewed because of how bad the Blackhawks has been, but it there's some trade bait there that you could have gotten out of him for I don't know. You're not probably going to get a first round draft pick for Mrazek, but you could get a prospect in a later round draft pick, and I would have been okay with that, right? But I see it from both ways. I still don't know where I stand. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I like it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I don't like it. Um, from a Hawks like wanting them to win, it's fantastic to have him in the lineup. But if we're in lose now mode, he's not going to help that case. But so, I don't really know where I stand on the whole situation yet.
Can I persuade you?
Sure. I'm open.
I love it, and I'll tell you why. Drew Comesso and Arvid Soderblom are not having good years at all. Comesso is in the AHL, and he's got an .897 save percentage and 18 starts. He's actually been ass. I think it's fair to say that I'm not hitting the panic button on either of them. To be honest with you, it's one year. The organization stinks right now, but the goalie of the future is not a lock to be in the system. It's just not a guarantee right now. I know how we both feel about Comesso. We loved him when he was playing college hockey. It was fun, good American boy, but it's just they don't have what they thought they did 6 months ago. And Mrazek has played well. He's 12, 17, and 1. He's not helping them win just by playing well. What he's doing is if Korchinski makes a mistake or if Vlasic makes a mistake, it's not guaranteed to go in the net. And that is better for the player's confidence to keep going out there and developing. If they had Vitek Vanacek in net and Vlasic made a mistake or Korchinski made a mistake, that shit's in the back of the net. These guys are skating back to the bench with their head down. I've kind of seen it. Thankfully, Luke Hughes and Nemec haven't made too many terrible, egregious mistakes, and they're both a little more offensively gifted than the two guys on the Hawks. So I think they have the ability to make up for any defensive breakdowns that they have. But for guys like who are just nasty defensively, young but trying to get better, if you have a good goaltender, it adds confidence. And the Hawks playing in front of Mrazek, even a kid like Bedard, if he makes a mistake, that leads to a rush the other way, which has happened. I've seen it. You have Peter Mrazek there as opposed to Arvid Soderblom or Drew Comesso. It might just be a good thing for this team going forward. What would they have gotten for him on the trade deadline? I know the Hawks got, I think it was the Frank Nazar pick. It was either the Frank Nazar, I can't remember which pick it was. They had 3 first-round picks in 2022. One of them came from the Leafs with Mrazek. They said, "Here, take this first-round pick to get Mrazek's bad contract off our books." Leafs wish they had Mrazek right now. I like it because again, I like it for the same reason I like the Dickinson or the Foligno contract. The Dickinson, I could go either way. The Foligno contract. Is Nick Foligno worth $4 million? No. Okay, he's not going to have 40 points. He's not going to have 50 points. Tom says, yeah, it was Rinzel. The Rinzel pick came to the Hawks from the Leafs with Mrazek. I think it's a good deal. Do I think he's going to be this good for the whole contract? No, I don't. He'll probably be average, maybe even taper off just a tad next year or the year after. As the team gets better, the pressure mounts, all sorts of things could happen. But in terms of giving them stability while they're developing other players, I can't believe I'm saying that I like Dickinson, Foligno, and Mrazek making a combined $12 million. But here we are.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I mean, Mrazek, yeah, he's not going to win you games like you said, 12-7-1 or 17-1 or whatever he is. But he has stolen games for the Blackhawks that they should have lost. And I think what max you would have got out of him is maybe
Yeah.
a third, and maybe a bottom tier prospect, maybe. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't frown at that. I'd be fine with that, I think.
Well, of course, but like, okay, look at it this way: that game against the Jets, I think it was 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. They were playing the Jets and they were winning 1-0 almost the entire game, and Mrazek was standing on his head. And then I think it was Ehlers who tied it. He either tied it or gave them the lead. The Jets. I'm like, the Hawks are only able to score one goal. Mrazek played out of his mind. The defensemen on the team feel good about themselves, and they still lost in regulation. I think that will be the case more often than Mrazek just straight up stealing a game. It's hard to steal a game when you're averaging under 2 goals a game. No matter, we could be talking about Henrik Lundqvist in his prime. You know, I think having good goaltending boosts the morale of the whole team. And if you traded Mrazek, let's say you trade Mrazek to the Devils, and you get a third round pick and I don't know, name a prospect that they're not too high on.
I don't know. That's all you, man.
Yeah, well, I don't even know who I like Max Willman or something like that, like one of these guys. And you have Arvid Soderblom and Drew Comesso stinking up the joint for the rest of the season. That's not good for them next year. That's not good for them in the long term. I just, not only are they having tough years on their own, like their underlyings aren't good, the team in front of them might make it even worse. And then they get in their own head. Do I think Vitek Vanacek is a bad goalie? No, but he's in his own head. I don't think it's going to work with the Devils anymore. He needs to go somewhere and get it right. He could be the next Mrazek. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We've had years where we thought Mrazek was washed. It would not shock me if Vitek went to another team, got his confidence back a little bit, and was okay. It's just not going to happen on the Devils. But just like it wasn't going to happen for Mrazek on the Leafs. But like when he was on the Hurricanes, stuff like that happens. I don't know.
He was great.
Yeah, I'm happy with Kyle. I think he has a clear-cut plan. His plan is to develop prospects and protect them in the meantime. They'll be, I don't want to say they'll be in the market for a goalie long term, but maybe they will. I wish Comesso was playing a little better for the Ice Hogs.
I'm not
I
giving.
do.
I think he'll be great
I'm not
one day.
giving
I
up on
really do.
anyone. I'm not even giving up on Soderblom. The team sucks. Okay, he faces more high danger chances right now than he ever did. Is Mrazek saving them at a higher clip? Yeah, but he's a more established veteran goalie who is like more seasoned to handle being on a bad team like this.
And goalies take a little bit longer to develop. So the
Yes.
fact that Comesso is 21 years old and he's stinking it up in the AHL, he just might need a couple more years. I see the light at the end of the tunnel with him, and I wouldn't be surprised if one day he came to the NHL and he started really getting hot, and maybe you have a different opinion on him one day. But
Yeah, no,
that's
I
where I stand on Comesso.
I agree. What Skokes just said about Bedard is exactly what I'm saying about the goaltender. He said, "I do want to. I think he meant quality line mate for Bedard sooner rather than later. Don't let him drown." I think having a good goaltender for guys like Korchinski and Vlasic and whoever the case may be down the line is like having a good line mate for Bedard.
Right.
It helps them in ways that like it just does. Um, you'll be more confident with your game, which I think helps your development for the forwards and the defense with having a goalie. Um, how many times did Corey Schneider make the Devils look better than they were?
A
Like
lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
And he kind of kept him from getting McDavid. But Mrazek's not Corey Schneider in his prime, even now. But I don't know. I Kyle, he's got this under control. I think I trust Kyle more than any current general manager in Chicago sports.
It's fair.
Like the jury's still out on Ryan Poles. We know the White Sox are a trash mess. Same with the Bulls. The Cubs have Jed, but they hired Craig Counsell and they're going to hand him a worse roster than they handed Dave Ross. That's it. That's all I'm as far as the men. So speaking of the Hawks, former Blackhawk Corey Perry has signed a 1-year deal for the rest of this season with the Edmonton Oilers. Didn't see that coming, Frank. Still no transparency on what happened. John Scott said what happened on his podcast yesterday and then apologized for it on Twitter today and said he was wrong. So we truly don't know what happened with Corey Perry. It is not the weird thing that came out in the middle of it all for sure. But we know that Corey Perry is playing for the Edmonton Oilers, who won their 14th straight game last night.
It's crazy. This all happens.
All-time bad take by VP, which I'm fully back in on my Oilers, by the way. I watch them I don't miss a game.
And this happens all after 2 months of all the drama ensued with the Blackhawks. It's great that Corey Perry's getting help for the struggles that he's having with alcohol abuse. He stated he's taking full responsibility for what had happened. He's done what he needed to do so far to try and make sure an incident like this never happens again, especially with the Oilers now. And because of that and the reflections he's made on himself, the NHL and Gary Bettman has made him eligible to sign with any other team. That led to him signing with the Edmonton Oilers. The signing, to say the least, is very, very interesting. See, it's a much different approach going to the Oilers than it was with the Blackhawks. With the Blackhawks, he had more of a leadership role to help the young team develop and teach the younger players things that you might not be able to learn on your own. So you learn that from a veteran like Corey Perry. Well, with the Oilers, Perry's going to have a much more different role. He's going to have an experience, depth type of role, which because you're going to a team who has many other players with playoff experience and have been in the NHL for many, many years. Very complete 180 difference than the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, right now, I don't think that this signing makes the Oilers a better team in the long run at all. The Oilers are one of the fastest teams in the NHL. Perry's not the speedster he used to be. Yes, he'll be useful in the playoffs for his playoff experience. He's got a Stanley Cup under his belt. He's got a league MVP under his belt. But that is not what the Oilers really need right now, I would say. I think this was the wrong team for Corey Perry to sign with. If you told me he went to the New York Rangers, I would have said that's more of a perfect fit for Corey Perry. But right now for the Edmonton Oilers, the signing didn't make sense to me at all.
You're going to think I'm just trying to disagree with everything you say. I love this for Corey Perry, and I could not be more convinced that Edmonton is going to the Stanley Cup final.
That's crazy.
Every time Perry signs with a good team, they make it to the Stanley Cup final. You can book it. Maybe they won't make it to the Cup. Like, obviously, that's like a stretch. One team from the West is going to make it to the Cup final. But he wins the Stanley Cup with the Ducks. He's in the final with the Habs. He's in the final with Dallas. He's in the final with Tampa Bay. Now he's on Edmonton, who just won their 14th straight game. They forget anything you saw in the first month of the season from the Edmonton Oilers. That is not the team that exists right now. I wholeheartedly believe they are one of the 5 best teams in the NHL right now. I have no doubt. Connor McDavid, he's still racking up points, but he has 1 point in 10 of only 1 point in 10 of their 14 wins, meaning he's not all out there just trying to bow dangle everyone and putting the team at risk defensively. He's hard on pucks in the corners. He's making good plays. He's making the smart play. There was that game against the Leafs where he won a puck battle along the wall and he gets it up to the point, and instead of asking for it back, he just goes to the middle of the ice and tips it on net, and Ryan McLeod gets the rebound and buries it past the goalie. Not the best look for Austin Matthews on that play because he kind of got out of the way of the shot, but it was an amazing play, I thought, for McDavid, and it's not his typical flashy play or anything like that, but he got a point because he deflected the shot and it went to McLeod behind the net, Ryan McLeod, and they're just firing on all cylinders right now. You throw Perry on the 4th line, he scores some goals, brings some grit. He's the worm, they call him now. You bring the worm to the Edmonton Oilers, something they really didn't have before having him. It's going to be interesting to see how he fits in offensively, but I don't know. I'm all in on the Oilers right now. I think they are very, very good. It's one of my worst takes of all time was proclaiming them dead. I mean, they were dead though. They were dead. Frank, they were in last place in the league. They were like with the
Obviously
Sharks.
not.
They were
Obviously they
there with
weren't
the
good.
Sharks. They called the Sharks Oilers game the Celebrini game. I was like, what are we talking about here? But all of a sudden they're back. They passed the Kings in the state. Like they're third in the Pacific now. It's not even second, or it's not even a wild card right now. Like they could pass. They could be the division winner. Oh my God! Do I hope? Do I hope they play? I want them to play the uh, Vancouver Canucks in the second round. I think that would be the best, the most cool playoff series of all time if the Oilers played the Canucks in the playoff series. And then if they got to the conference finals and it was them versus the Jets, oh my goodness.
A
That
lot
would
of
be
Canadian teams.
unbelievable. The Canadian teams are all the Leafs are the fourth best Canadian team. I mean, the Oilers are sick. I can't wait to watch them every time I know it's Oilers game day, I'm like just as excited as if it's Devils game day. I will never, ever root for them when they're playing the Devils. I hope they get smashed 17-0 when they play the Devils. And I really hate McDavid when they play the Devils. But when they're not playing them, oh yeah, I'm back to all in on the Oilers. I'm such an Oilers bandwagon fan. I'm perfectly fine admitting
You
that.
you flip flop more than a fish.
Well, between them and the Canucks this year, they've been like my go-to non-Devil, non-Bruin teams. Um, I just love good hockey, and that's what the Oilers give you. Frank, they're the most entertaining team in the
The flip
NHL.
is unbelievable.
They are the most entertaining team in the NHL.
You gotta ride and die with your takes.
No, I ride in.
You're dead with your
It's not a
Edmonton Oilers
take.
take.
It's not a take that I like watching the Oilers
No, but
when
it's
they're
a
good.
take that they were dead and they're not dead.
No, I admit when I'm wrong with my takes.
It
All the
was like
I
a life
admit
support.
I admit when I'm wrong with my takes. But I'm happy I'm wrong with that one. You think I want Oilers not involved, one of the mega teams in the league? There will be other teams. It was the Penguins for me for a long time, Frank. The teams that I just get the most enjoyment when I think of what is great hockey. Who do I want to watch? For a long time, it was the Penguins and it was the Capitals. Right now, it's Vancouver and Edmonton. Those are the two teams that if you're not looking for just wins and losses, a team to root for, you're just looking for entertaining hockey. Those are the two teams right now in the Western Conference, and I love watching them. The Avalanche can be in that conversation when the Nate Dogg is on the ice. I just don't think they have the depth that Edmonton and Vancouver have.
I just can't wait till Stuart Skinner chokes in the playoffs again.
That's fine.
He's giving up 5 a game.
Frank, I don't care if Stuart Skinner gives up 5 a game. That means the game was probably 6-5. Win or lose, it's an amazing, incredible hockey game. I'm not an Oilers diehard. I like watching them. They're one of my favorite teams to watch for that reason.
It's going to be their biggest downfall.
I hope Stu shoves it up your hoops and no lube sandpaper finish though. I mean, I'm serious. This guy, he's a high end prospect for a reason. He was an all-star.
Yeah.
He's been good.
Yeah.
It's better than the days of Mike Smith. I think all Oilers fans would agree with that.
Agree.
Oh, and this Evan Bouchard is just an absolute awesome player. Ryan McLeod, he's so fast. He's unbelievable. They have the big four with Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, Draisaitl, and McDavid. Evander Kane, if Evander Kane could be half as good as he was, like in his prime, that's another solid player for the Oilers. Warren Fogle can't stop scoring goals. Remember when he was on the Hurricanes?
Yeah.
I actually saw Warren Fogle play for the Charlotte Checkers once before too. I remember seeing him play for them. And then he ended up with the Hurricanes in their NHL lineup. Now he's on the Oilers, but they're not even getting a lot of production from like Darnell Nurse hasn't been amazing. If he could figure out a way to, kind of get back to where he was. I'm not a fan of Cody Ceci. I wish they would find a way to upgrade him from their top pair and move him down or get rid of him. But I like the Oilers, dude. They're fun to watch. I can't wait till they play again. When's their next game? When's the Oilers' next
Probably
game?
tomorrow.
You want some breaking news?
Sure.
The Miami Dolphins and defensive coordinator Vic Fangio have agreed to mutually part ways.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Their defense kind of stunk.
Was
Against
better
good teams it did.
was better than it has been in the past. Yeah, the Oilers play
But
tomorrow.
they would just get exploited though from every team. Every team with a good offense.
Yeah. The Oilers play tomorrow against the Hawks. That's right. I knew that.
Oh, that's right.
I
But
did
Perry's
know
not
that.
going to play till Saturday.
No, Perry's not going to play, but I'm not worried about freaking Perry. I'm worried about watching
No, but it would have been like
McDusty.
his return to
It's in Edmonton, but
against the Hawks.
yeah,
okay,
against
so
that would have
that's
been
not going
funny.
to happen though. He's
Yeah,
gonna
I don't blame him, to be honest with you, because whatever happened was definitely embarrassing and bad, and it wasn't the thing that people said. But I can't wait to watch the Oilers. I mean, 15 straight's got to be a lock at this point, right?
It's going to be funny. The Hawks are going to end their streak because that's just what happens, right? Like,
Isn't that true though? That is true. That does
lose
happen.
in games you should win, and then right?
Absolutely.
Like when the Hawks were 21-0-3 to start the season, they played Colorado, and Colorado was so bad.
Yeah.
That year, and they ended the streak.
I was at the last game of the streak.
Yeah.
It was also against Colorado.
It was a home and home. It was a home and home. Yeah.
And do you remember they lost 2 in a row then?
Did they really?
The second loss was to
the Devils?
The Edmonton Oilers, who stunk.
That's what I'm saying, dude. The Oilers streak's toast.
There was no interconference play that year. The Devils didn't play the Blackhawks in the short season.
Oh, that's right. It was only Western Conference teams.
Yeah, you only played your Western Conference. The only Western Conference, Eastern Conference games that season were the Stanley Cup final between the Blackhawks and the Bruins. Very interesting though. Oh yeah, but the Hawks are on the second half of a back-to-back tomorrow too, and the Oilers are going to be fresh.
Dude, that's the game.
There's 2 outcomes tomorrow. Either the Blackhawks win by a slim margin to end Edmonton's streak, or Edmonton just mollywops them, absolutely dummies them.
I don't know.
I don't see Edmonton winning a close game. If it's a close game, the Hawks win. If
it goes to overtime, they're
they're toast. It's gonna be like freaking the most ugly goal. It's gonna be like Kurashev from Dickinson and someone like Mrazek will get in.
You got to watch out for, VP.
I wonder who they're gonna start tonight and who they're gonna play tomorrow. The Hawks. I would put Mrazek tomorrow.
Mrazek tonight
on the big contract day. He's feeling good.
Yeah,
got a little extra green in his blood.
Because every time I think they're going to start Soderblom in the first game of back-to-back, they never do. It's always Mrazek. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense, but Mrazek should be playing tomorrow. But it's just not going to happen because I've seen this trend all year.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mrazek.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I could find out right now. But that's not here or there. Speaking of the Blackhawks.
Oh.
There you go.
Good.
There you go.
It should be Mrazek tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean.
They're going to they're ending that streak for sure.
All right.
I've never been more confident.
I'm sure. Bedard not going to the All-Star game. Neither's Jack Eichel. They were replaced by Kyle Connor and Vincent Trocheck. We were wrong.
Yeah, okay, so hold on, VP. I want to first say congrats to Kyle Connor, Vincent Trocheck. They're well deserved to be at the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Both players are playing incredible. But I have a major problem here. Okay. The NHL's motto is that every team needs to be represented at the All-Star game. At least one player from each team. Just because Bedard got injured, that shouldn't mean the policy's changed. The way Jason Dickinson's been playing this year should have earned him the replacement spot to fulfill the NHL's policy. Now, I wouldn't be upset if not every team was entitled to one player. If the rules were changed like it used to be and there wasn't one player from each team and the Blackhawks didn't have a representative other than Bedard, that's fine. And it makes complete sense because Dickinson wouldn't be considered an all-star under those rules. But you can't come out and say there needs to be one player per team and then you don't name a Blackhawks replacement. That's what bugs me here. And the NHL is funky when it comes to All-Star games too. When we got insight from John Scott on how they wanted him to decline his entry into the All-Star game and they sort of like blackmailed him into doing so and he refused. I feel like this is another way of the NHL wanted to avoid a guy like Dickinson being at the All-Star game because he's not a true All-Star. And it just isn't fair, in my opinion. They're going against their own policy that they have. So honestly, this news to me was a big turnoff.
The NHL clearly has a rule. One player from each team must be named to the All-Star game.
That's stupid.
Because Vegas doesn't have a player going either.
That's stupid.
And they're the defending Stanley Cup champions,
Right.
and it's in Toronto.
It's bad marketing on my point. You at least got to have somebody from Vegas.
Yeah.
Even Chicago. No, it's a turnoff to me. I'm like really turned off.
I have a theory though. Like, okay, Kyle Connor, Vincent Trocheck, outstanding players, well deserving of going to the All-Star game, especially Connor. But Connor missed like a month and a half. Trocheck's not even point per game, just barely under, but he's not point per game. A bunch of players said no. There's no way those two were just at the top of the list. Like, for all you know, Dickinson could have been asked, and he said no. I got my trip to Maui planned, or so and so could have been asked, Kurashev, whoever the case may be, and they were turned down. And I feel they probably, I do believe they probably asked someone from the Blackhawks. They were turned down because I don't even think Connor and Trocheck would be the first couple names off the list of NHL players. Like Jesper Bratt, he's got way better season than Connor and Trocheck. There are a bunch of players who were just completely snubbed off and weren't replacements. So I honestly think a bunch of people said no. That's just my take.
I don't believe they asked the Hawks. I think I can't defend them there.
Maybe not the Hawks, but the Trocheck and Connor were not their first choice.
I mean, Connor would have been up there as my first choice. It's been fantastic.
He's been fantastic, but like he's not amongst the league's leading scorers because of all the time he missed.
It's just a turnoff. Like, I'll still watch it, but it makes me want to watch it less.
Like Rantanen isn't going. Huh? Who else? Sebastian Aho. Or no, Aho is going. Braden Point, very deserving. Is Jason Robertson going? He's not. Mark Stone.
But it's not the point. Like, if those guys, like, at least they have a representative. The NHL is trying to make it inclusive for everybody. And if you want people from those markets to really be tuned in, you would assume Vegas and Chicago would have a guy there, right? Like, in your words, when it was Florida getting snubbed, isn't it the right thing to do?
Yeah.
It'd be the right thing to do. Like you said, it'd be right thing to do for Florida undefeated champions to be in the college football playoffs. Well, This is kind of the same thing. It's the right thing to do. Have everybody represented.
I agree.
If you want to change the policy going forward, that's fine.
I mean, they kind of set the precedent. It's clear. One player from each team must be named to the All-Star game.
That's obviously what it is, but it's it's bullshit.
Yeah, it is bullshit.
Because technically,
the All-Star game.
But technically, there will be no Blackhawk having an All-Star appearance because remember we said because Bedard's not playing, then he's not going to have it. So like technically, you were named, but there was no Blackhawk All-Star going on like record.
Yeah.
I don't know. Turn off to me.
I don't know. Every year, the All-Star game and who goes creates controversy. It creates conversation, which is nice. But I'm to the point, like Jack Hughes is going, but he might not play because he's a captain, but he's going to go. It's confirmed that he's going. But if he doesn't play, are they going to name a replacement? Will it be Jesper Bratt? I have no idea.
Should be. It should be somebody from the Devils.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just
which they get
for Vegas. Here, the reason I think like it just makes no sense because Mark Stone is having this amazing year too. He's got 49 points. He's tied for 13th in league scoring. That's amazing. You know, sometimes people think if you're not in the top 3, it's not that impressive. No, being a top 50 NHL scorer is impressive, in my opinion. That means you are a high-end player. You are an all-star level player if you're a top 50 scorer. And Mark Stone is that while playing incredible defense as a winger. I don't know. The All-Star game is just never going to please everybody. That's my takeaway from it. They did name the captains, though, and I touched on it. The Team Red, will be Team Hughes, and Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes will be co-captains, and Michael Bublé will be their celebrity captain. Team Yellow, I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I hope I do it right. Team Yellow is Nathan McKinnon as the captain, and his co-captain is Cale Makar, and their celebrity will be Tate McRae, pop star / TikTok star Tate McRae. I think TikTok star. I'm not too sure. Um, Team White will be Team McDavid, and he will be the captain, and Leon Draisaitl will be his alternate captain. And I am drawing a blank on their celebrity for the life
Will
of me.
Arnett.
Will Arnett is their celebrity captain. And then Team Blue is Team Matthews, and Morgan Riley will be the alternate captain, and the good old Biebs, Justin Bieber, will be their co-captain. I think they nailed who they chose for their captains. I don't think there is a better way of doing it that they could have done, in my
I agree. I like the captains, co-captains. The celebrities make sense, obviously. Coaches haven't been assigned yet, but I'm assuming that the coaches will match up with the captains of the division. Like Bowness will coach Team McKinnon. Or no, not McKinnon, because that's Central. Oh no, yeah, Central Division. The Jets are in the like Bowness will coach Team McKinnon. Taka will coach Team McDavid. Stuff like that, because it makes sense. Taka's a coach in the Pacific. You got a Pacific captain. McKinnon's the captain of the Central. You have
yeah.
a Central coach.
And Team
Makes sense.
Hughes will get the Metropolitan
Right,
Division guy.
right.
That's fair.
I assume that's how they're gonna do it. It only makes sense. They haven't gone out and said that, but
Yeah.
that's where I'm thinking.
I would agree. And yeah, that would make sense. I think I think I think they literally nailed it. I can't think of anybody who deserves it more than like the way they did it here. Because as we stand right now, I think Jack Hughes is the third best player, or the I think he's the third best forward in the NHL. I really do right now. And maybe I'm biased. I would take him over Matthews right now. Matthews
Yeah.
is scoring all these goals, and it's incredible. So maybe you would take Matthews over him, but he's only got like 17 assists. Like he's not driving. Jack Hughes, he could have half as many goals and more points still. I don't know. I think it's close between those two. But and then you got Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar involved. Leon Draisaitl's involved. Morgan Riley's an outstanding defenseman. He deserved to be an all-star as well. Little surprised they didn't make Nylander the alternate captain, but Morgan Riley deserves it too. But yeah, I think they absolutely nailed how they handled the captains.
It is funny that Will Arnett is a Leafs fan, but it makes sense that you have to have Bieber Toronto because he made the Toronto jerseys. So it is funny though. I'm sure there'll be some like on ice bickering back and forth or on the bench or however that's gonna work. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and it's in Toronto, so they got a Leafs guy to be with McDavid, and there's a bunch of uncaptained Leafs that very well likely will be on that team. Like one of Nylander or is Marner an All Star?
Nope.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't think
Um,
he is, no.
whatever.
It was Nylander, Morgan Riley, Austin Matthews. Oh, maybe it is. I don't think it was Marner though, but there were four.
Regardless, there'll be a Leaf on Team McDavid. I
Well,
would be
now I gotta
stunned
look
if
it up
there's
though.
not.
It's bothering me.
I would be stunned if there's not a Leaf on that team. And I know Michael Bublé is a Canucks fan, so they gave him Team Hughes, which with Quinn.
He is in the All
Um,
Star game.
yeah, okay, because they named three.
They
They
named
named three that
yeah,
with the final vote.
and I knew four were going, but I was like, well, it has to be Marner then. There's nobody else on the team that would really be deserving.
Yeah, I do think it'd be fun if Matthews and Riley drafted both Nylander and Marner,
There's no shot, right?
but
Like somebody's gonna snag him.
maybe I do wonder. Like, I don't necessarily think the best player is always going to be the number one pick. It's going to be like, who do we want on our team? Um, I hope Sidney Crosby made it right for the Penguins.
Mhm.
I hope he ends up on Team Hughes really bad. I want to see Jack and Sid play together.
I thought for sure if Bedard were to play, he'd be the number one pick. It'd be like
Yeah,
a cool moment for
I
him.
agree. I agree.
People would want him on the team.
Yep.
Just like,
Yep. Even
congrats,
though,
kid.
yeah, I agree. I think so too.
And maybe
I
that'll
think so
happen
too.
next year.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. It should be fun though. Even though we're mad about who's going, who's not going, how they did it, whatever, we're gonna have a freaking blast watching that shit.
Still a
I just
turnoff.
know for a fact. Yeah, it is, but it is what it is. Frank, I wrote down on the sheet that Carter Hart left the Philadelphia Flyers,
Yeah.
and I had no idea what it was going to turn into today. I knew it was going to turn into something.
I knew it was going to be bad. Is it bad? I didn't hear it.
It's bad. It's bad.
I was going to say, when you leave on personal reasons, it doesn't really usually end up being good.
No, and it's not like mental health or anything like that. You heard about the scandal with Team Canada and the World Juniors from
Oh,
2018.
no. It has to do with
Um
that.
the London is a city in Ontario. Um it's like an hour east of the United States border from New York, I think.
Uh-huh.
Um, that's where the London Knights play. It's town near Toronto.
Uh-huh.
That's where the World Juniors was in 2018. Well, 5 players have been requested by the London Police Department to turn themselves in for a sexual assault um, issue that took place in the year of the World Juniors in 2018. And today, you were able to piece together that okay, the Flyers gave a leave of absence to Carter Hart. The Flames gave a leave of absence to Dylan Dubé. Um, a Swiss team. He never made it to the NHL, but there's a player on a Swiss team. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. They gave him a leave of absence, and he's currently returning to Canada. And Michael McLeod and Cal Foote of the New Jersey Devils were given a leave of absence today. Those are the 5, right? Like you would think
Yeah, I saw the Devils had 2 that were.
it's bad. It's really, really bad. And obviously the most important thing is that the victim sees justice, and these guys are probably never going to play in the NHL again. Honestly, that's how I honestly think it's going to end up going down. We just found out during this episode that the London Police Department has scheduled a press conference on February 5th, 2024 to share further details. It's
That's
not
tough.
good.
And Michael McLeod, he's a good player. Decent. Pretty good.
He had a breakout year for the Devils, but you know what, Frank? Honestly, and Carter Hart's a star goalie. None of that matters. These
Yeah.
guys are like monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, they're like horrible human beings. And the fact that they even made it this far is disgusting. Hockey Canada should be ashamed of themselves. I don't know how to feel about the teams because there are all sorts of legal things that could happen if you get rid of guys for something they may have done. Like that's just not. But I mean, it's pretty clear to me what this is going to end up being. I don't want to speculate. I don't want to say anything that's not true. This
Yeah,
isn't
nothing's confirmed yet.
this isn't the show where we're going to break it down. You might remember. Were you on the show when we handled Kyle Beach?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It was just me and you.
I was very thorough with how I handled it with the show and what I said, and I'm going to do the same thing here. All I care about is the victim seeing justice. I don't care about hockey at all. That's irrelevant to me in this situation. These guys are fucked, and good for them. But we'll have more on that as time comes out. I was just planning on having a conversation about Carter Hart, but you can't do that after what's happened today. So.
Yeah. It's a huge blow to the Flyers, though. Huge. Coming off one of his worst games of the season, gave up 5 goals to Colorado and only 15 shots on goal. And he was eventually pulled for the game. And, Hart and Samuel Ersson have been a very manageable duo this year. So now with Hart gone, Samuel Ersson takes the lead on goaltending. And with Cal Peterson being the backup, and Peterson's been awful this year, where he's played 2 games with the Flyers. He's been absolutely awful in those 2 games. The Flyers' success now rests on the shoulders of Ersson going forward, and they're just holding on to a playoff spot by 3 points. This loss is going to prove to be critical against the Flyers, so this could be the downswing many were expecting out of the Flyers all season long. It's not looking
And
good.
Frank, I hate to be that guy, but people just they don't care right now. That's like the last thing on everybody's mind is how this affects a hockey team when something so horrific
Yeah, I get it, but it's
had
something you got to
happened.
talk about though. Still, like I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we'll break down what it means in hockey terms after we know more facts and whatnot. But for now, we're just gonna leave it at we hope the victim is. We hope they're able to find resolution in their own self. I know that's not necessarily easy or anything like that, but it sucks. Not a good day for the hockey community. Um, I would be okay if they got buried under the jail.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll see how it goes though. February 5th, hearing for or press conference from the London Police Department. We'll see, if these guys present themselves to the police department today and get arrested. I don't know what's going to come up of this today, but it's a shitty situation. Thinking of the victim though.
absolutely.
We would like to send it to period number 2. Were you ready with that trigger finger?
Of course, always,
No, not always.
always.
When we were talking about Corey Perry, you did not have your hand on the freaking trigger finger.
Yeah, I did. We went. Oh, you mean like?
Like
No, it's not
early in the
always.
first
But
period.
now I'm prepared.
We would like to send it to period number 3.
No shot.
That's very funny. Frank, got a lot of good stuff going on in the prospect part of the hockey community though. This weekend we got a beauty. We got a beauty and we will be watching it together. You're going to be watching the Royal Rumble. I'll be watching the Royal Rumble. But at the same time, I promise you on computer, along with the Devils game, of course, we will be doing Boston University versus Boston College. This is the first time in the history of either school that they will meet as the number 1 and number 2 teams in college hockey. We got Gabe Perreault. We got Will Smith. We got Ryan Leonard. We got that dork Cutter Gauthier. We
Right.
got Macklin Celebrini. We got Lane Hudson. Just an absolute group of dogs playing against each other. BU versus BC. The Battle of Calm Avenue. Let's go.
2 legendary rivals
Oh, yeah.
finally coming head to head. I would not be surprised anyway that this game ends up number 1 and number 2. Both teams are on fire. Terriers have won 12 of their last 13 games. The Eagles have won 9 of their last 11 games. Something's got to give. Moments like this are extremely rare. First time ever that this has happened, and it's arguably the biggest non-tournament / beanpot matchup in both of the program's long histories. The stakes do not get higher than this outside of tournament play, obviously. You got the dog, Cutter Gauthier,
Stinks.
against the lesser okay player, Macklin Celebrini on BU. With both players have been on fire this season.
You don't mean that.
If there was a matchup to get
You
you
don't mean that.
involved in the college hockey
You would
going
not take
forward,
Cutter Gauthier on the
it
Hawks
would
over
be
Macklin
this
Celebrini.
matchup for sure.
You would take Gauthier on the Hawks over Celebrini?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you. Thank you.
But Cutter Gauthier, the gonads on this man to make that decision.
What a clown he is. Just a loser mentality. He'd be a great Leaf. That's what he'd be. He'd be a great Leaf. Jamie Drysdale's been sensational. So good with the Flyers. He made a defensive play last night, on top of the fact that he scored his first goal with the Flyers. In his career, he's got half points per game. Same thing this season. I think half points per game. Just on pace for like 40 something points as a D man. It's only going to get better as he gets older. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Jamie Drysdale every single time I talk about Cutter Gauthier, but what a dork that guy is. But I like BC. I'm rooting for BC this year because I like that line. Gauthier is what makes BC so good, though. All hockey talk, ignoring how much of a loser he is off the ice. And as far as his mentality, he's a great player. What makes Boston College so good is they have that big line with the 3 dogs, Smith, Perreault, and Leonard.
Yep.
And then Gauthier, he's their best player, but he's on the second line kind of creating some depth for them. Or you could even call it their first line and call the other line the second line. Kind of like, they just spread the wealth because they know that other line has such good chemistry. They could move one off that line and put them with Gauthier and have two lines with two pairs, but they like it with the line the way it is, and it's worked for them. They've met in the national championship once, I think. Wouldn't that be something if they played in the national championship? It's very possible. I do think it's very possible because they'll be in opposite regions. I hope that it could work that way. At least both make it to the Frozen Four. They both will play in the Bean Pot in a couple weeks too, so this isn't going to be the last. What's cool about this weekend is it's on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Both, and it's a home and home. You don't see that in college hockey. College hockey is a lot like baseball, where like for a weekend, a team will go to its school and play 2 games there. Where because they're so close, they're doing one at BU and one at BC. It's going to be awesome. And then of course the Bean Pot's at the TD Garden. The two teams, and they are matched up against each other in the first game this year. And Northeastern will play Harvard. I don't know how that's determined. I honestly have no idea how that's determined because it's different every year. But this year, BC is playing BU in the first game, and Harvard's playing Northeastern. The winner of each will play each other in the Bean Pot Championship 1 week later. Very much looking forward to that as well. But hey, this weekend with the home and home, it's going to be so much fun. And Frank, there are a couple other incredible college hockey matchups this weekend too. Do you have them?
Michigan State, Minnesota.
Oh, beauty.
Wisconsin, Michigan.
Oh my God.
North Dakota, Denver.
That's the one I'm. Yeah.
A couple others. Quinnipiac. They're playing Yale, I think.
Yep.
Cornell, Harvard.
Cornell, Harvard's awesome too.
There might be one more.
This is just a really, really good
there
slate.
Are a lot.
If there was a weekend to dive into some college hockey, it would be this one. Yesterday, the women's Bean Pot took place, the championship, and Boston University went up against the Northeastern Huskies, and the Huskies beat the Terriers 2-1 in overtime.
I know.
Just an absolute astonishing win for Northeastern, who won their second game in a row. I don't know if you saw the goal. It was an absolute beauty. It was scored by Skylar Irving, who's just an incredible college hockey player. These jerseys, though, that Northeastern wore, for those listening to the audio, you're going to have to look them up, but I'm showing them on screen. Mm-hmm. Those are top 3 college hockey jerseys, I think. I don't know. I can't recall ever seeing the men wear these. I don't know if it's just the women's team that, but I want one. And the red and black, you know how I feel about the red and black. They are just unreal jerseys. It was a sick goal. It was on the Bruins ice. It was just magnificent all around. It was the first time the ladies tournament for the Bean Pot had ever taken place at the TD Garden too, and it sold out. They got great attendance. It should be at the TD Garden going forward. Showcase the girls just as much as the boys. They deserve it.
And BU was going to capture the record 19th Bean Pot championship. That's crazy. 19.
I think
19. They got 18, right?
Yeah. I think Northeastern won their 19th.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Skylar Irving actually had both goals. She had the overtime and the first goal too.
Good
call. She was fantastic. They've been dominant all year though. They're 14th in the country. They're 16-9-1. You honestly couldn't have asked for a more competitive game in a Bean Pot championship game. Like that's what you look for. A nice overtime, 2-1, low scoring, good defense, offense hard to come by. And while Northeastern's the better team coming into the game on paper, you're playing at you're playing Boston University at TD Garden in a championship game. Anything could happen in those types of games. But yeah, the Huskies got it done. It was a great championship matchup.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the women's Frozen Four too. That's just going to be awesome stuff. Frank, the 2024 NHL draft.
Yes.
Do you have a top 5 yet? Do you have any hot takes on it? Lay it on me.
I think it's not too early to do something like this after you turn the year. I do have a top 5. As of right now, this list may change, but I do have 5 players that I would rank from 1 to 5 in my eyes as of today. And I do have a hot take for you. Do you want the hot take first?
Yep.
I'll give you the hot take first. Doesn't mean I don't have this person where I have them, but I have a reason. I'm going to say my hot take, I wanted to go spicy.
So spicy it made you cough.
It is. It's very spicy. you might look at me like I'm crazy. I don't think Cole Eiserman's going to be a top 3 pick this year. Even though I believe teams, or I believe I would put him in the top 3, but I believe teams would be dumb to pass on him. But I just think there are some really great defensemen in this year's draft that if the opportunity came to a top tier defenseman, it might be worth taking them over Eiserman, depending on who gets 1, 2, and 3. I could see a handful of teams passing on him. With that being said, I'll give you my list of who's 1 through 5. Number 1 is Macklin Celebrini. Consensus number 1. This is not going to be one of those years where the number 1 picks, everyone who thinks going to go number 1 is going to drop and fall down the list. Honestly, I think it's impossible in my eyes that anybody other than Celebrini goes number 1. So that's who I got. Number 2, I have Cole Eiserman. Great American stud that produces at such a high level and has tremendous awareness out there on the ice as a goal scorer and a playmaker. 2 qualities that not every top player possesses. It's very more on the rare side that you see a pure goal scorer and a pure playmaker. I mean, they're usually separate, but Eiserman possesses both from what I've seen. Number 3, Anton Silyev, defenseman, tallest player in the draft. I believe. I mean, I can't fact check that, but he's like 6'7". I think he's the tallest player in the draft, built like a brick wall. And at 6'7", you're 2 inches shorter than Zdeno Chara was. He isn't going to get you a lot of defensive points, but he plays a top level defense, and his build alone should give the attention of a lot of scouts. He's like a mini Chara. He looks unbelievable. 4 is another defenseman. Said there's a lot of great D-men in this year's draft. I go with Artem Levshinov, a complete opposite of Anton Silyev. Levshinov is built fairly great as well, but he's more of a player to jump into rushes, even when he doesn't have the puck. Acts more of an offensive defenseman. An offensive defenseman can be tricky to come across in the NHL, and because of that, he could be a very high draft pick this year. And I got a lot of faith of him definitely being one of the first D-men to go in this year's draft. And then 5, I don't think a lot of people are talking about this guy. I don't even think he's in a lot of people's top 5. It's Caden Lindstrom. Last year in the WHL as a rookie, he had some pretty impressive stats. He had 42 points, 61 games. Yeah, he's not point per game. He's not doing anything crazy. But this year proved what 1 year of experience can do at just the WHL level. He has 27 goals and 46 points in 32 games this year. He surpassed 42 points last year in half the amount of games it took him to do it. He's on pace to do some pretty crazy things. Not only that, but he's also very physical, and not a lot of players who put up those types of numbers end up being a physical type of player. I think Lindstrom has a chance to be a diamond in the rough in this year's draft, and I would definitely take him in the top 5.
Very, very good, Frank. I think your top 5 is wonderful. I'm sitting here mulling over mine because I wrote down the guys that I think will probably be like in the race. I really don't have like my firm top 5 set. I was curious if you did. I'm a little annoyed with your hot take. Get out of my brain.
Why?
That's what I was gonna say. He doesn't go second.
I don't think he might not even go third.
Yeah. I get that's where our
if
take
he
is.
Fell to 4, I'd be like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I agree.
Depends.
But like where we stand right now in January, it feels like he could slip all the way to like 5, 6. Based on how the draft is going. And I'm looking at other people's mock drafts. I saw him as low as 8 on one. Like, I honestly, I don't know. The defenseman at the top, right? There are a couple D, obviously Sam Dickinson, Artem Levshinov, Zane Perrick.
Demidov, I didn't even name him.
Yeah.
And
this guy's great. Incredible. 100%.
That's what I'm saying. This is a very defensive heavy draft this year. Last year was very offensive heavy. A lot of first round talent bleeding into the second round last year. A lot of top and offensive prospects. This year it's a little different. And because of that, I could see some of the top centers, left wingers dropping a little bit.
Here's what I worry about. Cole Eiserman, he's going to slip a little, right? Maybe. And then he's going to go to BU. and he's just going to be so freaking good. He's going to have a similar season to what Macklin Celebrini's doing right now, or what Logan Cooley did last year, or what Fantilli did last year. And we're going to be like, how many teams passed on this guy? I don't know. I kind of want to get ahead of the Cole Iserman hype train and be like one of the lead dogs. So later on, I'm not feeling foolish, because I would take him second as we stand right now.
I would too.
Third, I would probably rank Sam Dickinson, Caden Lindstrom, and then this kid from the Spokane Chiefs, Berkeley Catan. Another really good player. That's my top 5 as of right now, but I'm not set on it. It's going to take me a while to be firmly set on anything other than Celebrini being number 1. But like, what is your ceiling for Celebrini even? Like, where do you have him? Do you have a comparable? I don't know if there is like a
To somebody in the
really
NHL.
good one in terms of like how good productive you think they'll be, not necessarily like their style of game. Like if you think Jack Hughes is his ceiling, that doesn't
No,
mean
I
he's the
don't.
small shifty guy. That means you think 110
Mm,
point type guy.
I think I have a perfect comparable. Now, but I'll explain. I would compare his game to like Johnny Gaudreau. He's not going to be every year. He's not going to be a 100-point player. He's going to get maybe that 100-point one year, maybe, like Gaudreau did. But then hover in the 80 point range, 85, 90 maybe on a good year. That's where I kind of see him.
I see him a little better than that. I think he's a star. But I don't know if he's definitely not Bedard. He's not he might not even be Jack Hughes. Certainly not the goal scoring prowess of Austin Matthews. What if he's like Robertson? Like Jason Robertson or a Rupe Hintz type of production. I don't know about it's hard to predict goals versus assists though, because I never would have thought Austin Matthews would be the goal scorer that he is. He had that sick release when he was playing in Switzerland in his draft year, but it wasn't popping the way Bedard's shot popped in his draft year. And then when he got to the NHL and scored 4 goals in his first game, you're like, oh, he shoots a lot.
That's tough.
I don't necessarily see it in terms of the goal scoring, but I could see Celebrini being a star. It also will depend on who drafts him. If he goes to San Jose, he'll certainly be the number 1 guy, which can either help you or hurt you. If he went to the Blackhawks, he'd be the number 2 guy, but he'd be on the power play,
That'd be
which
insane.
could also
It'd
help.
be like a Draisaitl McDavid type of
Yeah,
thing.
that could also help him. I believe if Draisaitl went to another team, he'd be almost as productive. The power play points would come down a little bit. Getting those secondary apples on the power play, that would come down just a tad. But I still think if he went to another team, he'd score 40 goals and have 50 assists minimum. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Celebrini turns into, though. I'm excited to watch him play a college hockey tournament.
And there's a very real possibility he goes to the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Then you'll be like, he's going to be an all-star. He's going to be a 7,000.
Johnny Gaudreau's not a bad comparison. It's not like he stinks. Maybe he stinks now, but I'm saying like in his prime.
No, I know. Listen, Johnny Gaudreau's an elite player. I think Macklin Celebrini would hope he's a little bit more productive than Johnny Gaudreau in the large body of work.
Well, yeah, of course.
Plus, hockey tweaked by going to Columbus. I have nothing but love for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but it just wasn't the time for him to go there.
No,
it just wasn't the time. If he was in his prime going there in 3 years, yeah, that's a different story. But he literally went there as they were entering like a rebuild. Dumb.
But from the year like 2015 through 2021, I picture that like Macklin Celebrini being like that for his whole career, though.
Do you see him as a center?
Yeah,
that's another big thing. If he plays center, he'll get more points naturally, I think. but I don't know.
He'll center the second line of the Hawks because Bedard will center the first line.
If he were to go to the Hawks, that would absolutely be the case. Yes, not at first though.
You don't think so?
Maybe at first. Luke Richardson has not been scared to play young players at all. At all. Bedard, you're out there with Hall, man, right away. Right away. Jack Hughes was on the third line for I hated when John Hines was the coach of the Devils. I absolutely hated it. But hopefully they're smart with the way they handle the rest of this season. No more signing people though. Time to start trading, Kyle. Come on, Kyle. Any other things to say about the 2024 NHL draft?
I feel like it's an all but guarantee that the Hawks are going to have a 1, 2, or 3 pick.
One can only hope. Also, this is the last year it will be all 32 teams in one building.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't either, because going to the draft was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then the chance that I'm probably never going to get to do that again. Hopefully it doesn't last forever. Hopefully they realize that people don't like this. They like going to the draft. They had a blast in Nashville last year. Bad idea.
It's
Bad
stupid.
idea.
Like, what's the reasoning?
I don't know. You would think it's good for the cities that the entire NHL family showing up there for a weekend.
Zombie says another first would be bonkers.
It sure would. There have been a lot of teams to get 2 firsts, though. The Devils, 2 in 3 years. The Oilers got 4 in 6 years.
That was crazy.
And you know what? Wherever Taylor Hall goes, number 1 picks go. He's a first overall pick himself. He played with Nugent Hopkins, Nail Yakupov, Connor McDavid, Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin, Connor Bedard.
It only seems right.
I don't think he was there when they first got Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin, but it's weird how he found his way there when they were both number 1 picks recently. I believe he assisted on the first career goal scored by Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, or no, it was McDavid, Hischier, Hughes. Maybe it wasn't Hischier. Maybe it was Hischier, though. I know Drew Stafford made the pass to Hischier and he scored it. Hall might have gotten the secondary assist, though. Drew Stafford. That's where the Devils were a couple of years ago. Nasty. Drew Stafford.
Brother.
Yeah, right. Drew Stafford's on the first line playing with Hischier and Hall. We've come a long way. We've come a long way. We've come a long way. I was saying this earlier. This Devils season has kind of sucked in a lot of ways, and they're 1 point out of a playoff spot. It's way better than a lot of the other sucky Devil seasons I've dealt with. So they're still on the rise. They're still developing. Got 2 19-year-old defensemen in the lineup. It happens. You'll go through it.
Yeah.
Like there'll be a real good hockey year, and there'll be a year where you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then they'll pull it together, hopefully.
They kind of did that the year they were winning all their cups. I mean, the one year they didn't even make the playoffs until it was the last game of the season, and they needed like the Kings to win.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where the Devils sit right now.
Yep. I remember they needed to beat the Wild, right?
And they didn't, I don't think, right?
Or the Wild needed to win something for the Hawks to get in that year.
Because I know the Hawks didn't get in under their own power. They needed somebody else's to determine their fate.
Yeah, and I remember it was Comcast Sportsnet at the time put that game on their network.
I'm almost like 100% positive it was 2011 because I'm pretty sure they got in as an 8th seed.
Yes.
The Canucks.
Yes.
In the first round.
Yes.
And then the Canucks were up 3-0. Hawks
Yep.
forced game 7. Yeah, it was that year.
Yeah.
I swear it had something to do with the Los Angeles Kings, though.
I think the Kings might have had to lose to the Wild.
Could have been.
We could go back and look, though. That's very possible. But it happens. You're right. It happened even with them. And you know what? They weren't perfect in 2012 either.
No.
There were some major issues in 2012. They made the playoffs, but it wasn't until 2013 where it was like, okay, this is the team we know they could be again. And I do believe we'll get there with the Devils. Like, hey, this is that team we know the Devils can be.
Uh-huh.
With Hughes and Heischer and all these guys. This year, there's been injuries and bad goaltending and some weird coaching decisions and some now off the ice stuff that's going to probably affect the team. That, it's how it works sometimes, dude.
It's just, yeah, that's just how it goes.
And we're going to talk about football in period number 3. That was a good one.
Not this one.
No, but that was a good one though. That was like a good, like, I almost like it better when I don't mess you up, but it appears that I'm trying to and you don't fall for it.
Not this week.
No, that was very funny.
I got a good night's rest, VP. I'm ready to go.
Yep. Good shit. Frank, it's time to talk about
football. I don't want to talk about this.
I wouldn't if I were you either. I wouldn't if I were you either. Of course, we had 4 games this weekend. The Baltimore Ravens, to their credit,
not a treat,
but it was in the first half. The Houston Texans played them hard in the first half. And this game is proof that coaching matters in football. Because I've never seen a team make coaching adjustments at halftime more than the Ravens did in this game. I think the Texans are going to be great for a long time. I think C.J. Stroud is a top 5, top 6 quarterback at this point. I really, really do. He's incredible. He made the Ravens squirm for 30 minutes, and then the Ravens went into the locker room, did something, adjusted something. Harbaugh, Lamar, they came out in the second half and showed why they were the best team in the NFL all season long.
And their defense is incredible.
And Stroud played them well in the first half. We all predicted the Ravens would win, but we were all like a little worried. And it's the age-old debate in football. It's more of a debate in football than any other sport. Rest versus rust. You have the bye week. Are you going to come back rested or are you going to come back rusty? The Ravens came back rusty. Nobody is going to tell me otherwise. They came back rusty. But in the second half, they really took it to them. They got the win. They're off to the AFC Championship game.
I want to go back to the last week's show really bad because I'm pretty sure in my prediction, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if the Ravens won by 20.
Yeah, no, you did.
And they won by 24.
Yeah, which is
they're so good.
It's crazy that they won by 24 with how average they were in the first half.
That's just how good they are. Their defense is raw. I honestly think they have the best defense in the NFL right now. I think it's better than the 49ers. Yep. I think it's because the difference is they have a good defense. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
The Browns sucked on the road.
Yep. That's towards the end of the season, but yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
49ers is not as good as it was in the beginning of the year.
Yep.
The Ravens consistent all year.
Couldn't agree more. Then that night, the game I got wrong this weekend, the Green Bay Packers lost to the San Francisco 49ers 24-23. Frank,
Packers played them tough.
That game was everything I said it would be.
Treat.
It was a treat. That game was everything I said it would be, except the 49ers proved me wrong in the end. The Packers got out to a lead, just like I thought they would. They held the 49ers away, and the 49ers found a way to get that last go-ahead score, and that I didn't think they were capable of getting under pressure with Brock Purdy, and they did. Now, Jordan Love threw a nasty pick in the final drive of the game, which sealed the victory for the 49ers. Rookie mistake. He's not technically a rookie, but it's a first-year starter. I think he'll learn from that. I think he'll be better for it. I'm very fearful of the Green Bay Packers and what they're going to be. There's going to be a long time before, they are, a powerhouse maybe, but it really also might not be. I think the NFC North has potential to be the best division in football next year. They really impressed me this year, and they played the 49ers hard. Credit to Brock Purdy and the 49ers. They weren't perfect. They looked a little rusty too, but I didn't think they had a chance to win if they were losing at any point in the fourth quarter, and they won by 1. So credit to the San Francisco 49ers. Was wrong about that one. The Green Bay Packers, though, they deserve nothing but props. I hate them. I hope they lose every game next year. They're not going to. But it is what it is. What were your thoughts on that game?
It was a very good game. Very entertaining.
Yep.
We were watching it. Obviously, I was pulling for the 49ers. Can't stand the Packers. And I like the 49ers. They're up there for me. They were in my top 5 on
They're a
teams. Like.
classic NFL team that's
Yeah,
fun to cheer for. I get that.
absolutely.
I feel the same way.
They were in my top 5 when we did our top 5 list of teams that I wanted to see win the Super Bowl. So congrats to them. Like I said, Brock Purdy's serviceable. He could get it done with this team, this offense, this defense. Like he's a quarterback that can get it done with this team. So credit to them. Packers, they like I said, they played well. But I kind of figured on the road it'd be just at the end of the day it'd be too much, and it was, and even if it was barely, but they got it done.
Yep, the game was a treat more than either of us thought in both directions. I kind of thought the Packers were gonna beat them down a little bit by the end, because I think once the 49ers go down big, they go down big, and it was a treat. The game was a treat. There's no doubt about it. Are you willing to admit that there were no frauds in the final 8?
Fair.
Yeah. Every team had a chance to win at some point in their game. The Ravens,
the Bucks, they got down big. They were down like
they did, but Baker made me go, huh, in the third quarter. They had that one touchdown that got them, and I was like, oh, are they going to lion? Are the Lions going to lion? And they didn't. They got another touchdown again and pulled themselves back ahead. Baker's stats were unreal, though. Mm-hmm. Baker played he was probably the best losing quarterback this weekend. Is that fair to say? No, Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen.
But Baker was the second best losing quarterback this weekend. He had a better day than some of the winning quarterbacks. So we'll talk about that. The Lions and the Buccaneers. Credit to the Bucs. Good year. Thought they were going to stink. Tom Brady's out.
I thought they were going to be dead last.
I thought dead last. 32 out of 32. Number 1 pick. Caleb Williams goes there, and there's Tom Brady's replacement. Nope. Baker Mayfield made himself a lot of money. He made himself a lot of money for this upcoming offseason he's going to get. And he looked like the number 1 pick that he was set out to be when he was drafted. Good fit in Tampa Bay. Happy for him. But the Detroit Lions, they move on to the NFC Championship game. I went from seeing the Lions win 0 playoff games in my lifetime to seeing them win 2 in a span of 2 weeks. It's been fun to watch. It's been very fun to watch. They are a damn good football team. They have everything going. I think there are only 2 teams in the league with no holes whatsoever. Every team could be beat. A team with holes can beat a team with no holes. That's how the NFL works. But only 2 teams in the league have no holes. They both won on Saturday, the 49ers and the Ravens. But I think the Lions are in third, the closest to having no holes.
Wow.
Right now, out of the teams remaining, is what but yeah, the Detroit Lions, they got it done. They're on to the championship weekend. What are your thoughts?
The Lions?
Lions versus Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting game. You thought the Lions were going to run away from it when it was, or run away with it when it was 31-17 or 31-14, 31-17. It's just right on cue. I mean,
probably been listening for 25 minutes. Just waited for us talking about football for 2 periods, or hockey for 2 periods out of 3.
He said almost called you.
We talk about the football in the 3rd period every single show. Every single show. Just doesn't watch in the first 2 periods. That's on you. That's a you problem.
But as I was saying about the Lions, there's not much to say. They were the better team. Out of all 4 games, they're probably the least I have anything to say about, really. And nothing really happened. I mean, they got up big, then Baker kind of came back. They're down 8. Like, nothing. It's not surprising to me. I thought the Lions would win, and they did that. And by 8, it's fairly marginable victory, still a 1 score, but it's not much to say. In my eyes, that game was not a treat. I was bored. I gotta be honest.
I agree. It wasn't a treat, but it wasn't a spoiled snack like it would have been if the Eagles were in instead.
That's fair.
I believe that. I know the Eagles were the better team than the Bucs all year. I don't care. They were
That's true.
they were a dead mouse by the end of the season. And if it were Eagles versus Lions, the Lions would have won by 100. I wholeheartedly think that. The Eagles were just so boring. Frank, gotta do it to you, man.
Don't do it, VP.
We gotta talk.
I
We gotta
can't.
talk about it.
I
We gotta
can't.
talk about it. The Kansas City
I
Chiefs
can't.
took down the Buffalo Bills. I have a take for you when you're done talking about the game, but I'll let you go.
This was so tough. It's not Josh Allen's fault.
He played great. Anybody who thinks Josh Allen's fault's a moron.
Tyler Bass he shanked it. I think he kind of rushed it, maybe got in his own head. Of course, he's 9 for 9, perfect, with less than 3 minutes to go in a game when you have the chance to tie or take the lead in his career. He's never missed. 0 for 0 in the playoffs. Now he's 0 for 1. I think the pressure got to him. There were some questionable calls. I don't know why you would fake it on 4th and 5 in your own zone so deeply, and it wasn't even close. And then they got the benefit of the doubt because then Pachenko fumbled it through the end zone. I'm like, well, maybe this could be the turning point here. This game had everything in it that you really wanted. It was back and forth, the oohs and ahs, it was everything you could have wanted for, except for the outcome for me. It was just devastating. And I don't know if the Bills are ever going to get there, man. It breaks my heart. It really does. I don't know what you do. You don't give up on Josh Allen. No way. You don't trade him or they're good enough to get there. They just can't beat the Chiefs. They're 0-3 against the Chiefs in the playoffs. I mean, you run into a brick wall every year.
I have a couple takes. It was a weird time to try and get DeMar Hamlin comeback player of the year.
I know, you hand it off.
He got the fake punt. That was snapped to DeMar Hamlin, who's not even an offensive player.
I know.
I thought that was crazy. Listen, I like DeMar Hamlin. I do. I'm happy everything worked out. I was devastated the day that happened, and I didn't care about football. I was glad they canceled the game, and I was so looking forward to that treat that it was too. Bengals versus Bills. Winner gets the number 1 seed in a bye. I was all in on that game. I was so excited, and I did not give a crap about any of it once DeMar Hamlin's life was in danger. He's not like a superstar.
No, you can't run it there.
You can't do that. I thought that was a boneheaded coaching decision. I'm not sure Daboll's going to get fired or anything like that. You know how I feel about defensive-minded head coaches, but when watching the game, I was like, I have a couple things. The Chiefs are their kryptonite. Patrick Mahomes is an A+ quarterback, and Josh Allen is an A- quarterback. There were a couple plays that Josh Allen wasn't able to make that Mahomes was. That was the difference in the game. That's my first point. My second point is Peyton Manning took a couple years to win a Super Bowl, and he was the second best quarterback in the league. A lot of people thought he was the best quarterback in the league. I never actually thought Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady, but you wanted Peyton to get one. He was the Josh Allen of that era. He was probably a little better than Josh Allen, but second best quarterback in the league, or one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Same thing with Josh Allen. There has to be a year where the Chiefs get bounced by someone else, or someone gets hurt, and that's the Bills' path to winning a Super Bowl. Do I think they could beat him in the playoffs later down the line? Yeah. After he has one, maybe, and has some he put one in Stephon Diggs' hands.
It dropped, dude.
It was right here. I don't really understand how a human being can throw a ball 65 yards and it be perfectly placed in his receiver's hands like that. I honestly think that is one of the most talented things a human being could do if they're able to do it, to just put it in someone's hands knowing they are going to be in that spot at that moment is incredible to me. I will never comprehend it, and I think it's why quarterback is the hardest position in all of sports. But he did it. And Stephon Diggs is supposed to be this all-world receiver, one of the best in the NFL. He's made big catches like that before. He's made more difficult catches before. The Minnesota Miracle was a significantly harder pass to complete than that. and he dropped it. And at the end of the game, there are pictures of him watching somebody else go, and he's just so checked out. Diggs cannot be there next year. They have to get a new number one receiver. I don't know what the answer is. You have to find a way to make the team better. You can't give up. This team is too damn good to not consistently want to be in the playoffs and have a chance to beat the Chiefs. I also think Tyler Bass did all Chiefs or Bills fans a favor.
Get out.
I'm telling you what,
Get out.
if he makes that field goal and you give Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes
but you never
the
know.
ball
No.
with a minute and 50
I
seconds
get what
left,
you're saying.
he would have broken your heart in ways. It was different. It was like,
I rather lose to a great quarterback than that. No, anything could happen to you.
I
You
understand what
figure
you're
we
saying.
assume that happens. I get it.
You think it's possible that happens, or even likely?
I would say it's like yeah, absolutely, because of how much time's left. But you don't. No, you didn't do us a favor. Like it doesn't matter. A turnover, anything could happen.
I get what you're. I've heard.
That's one of the
I'm just saying.
dumbest.
I've heard Bills fans say it.
It's one of the dumbest things I've heard. I agree, though. It could have happened.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of the dumbest that he didn't do us a favor. No shot.
Patrick Mahomes would have driven that ball down the field, gotten them in field goal range, and hit a game winner.
I'm saying it's probably more likely. It's probably like 60% he would have done that. Like the odds are you lose at that point, but you never know. I want to see the outcome. You got to make that field goal.
Well, he didn't even come close.
It looked like it was going in, and then it went like way off.
Yeah, it almost looked like he did it on purpose.
He's a prick.
Well, would you rather that or a double doink?
I just don't have luck with field goals. We'll put it that way.
You hate all field goal kickers.
In the playoffs.
Understood.
He's better than that. The problem is the Bills don't kick a lot of field goals during the regular season. I would love to know his numbers this year for field goals made and missed. If you could find that for me, because every game you look at, he's got one. There's none. I'd be more if it was. I'd be shocked. Like how? All right, you play 18 games, or you play 17 games. There's 18 weeks. You figure, on average, how many you get? 3 a game? Is that too much? Maybe 2 a game, right? Yeah. I'd be shocked if it was more than 30 attempts, which is less than 2 a game.
Yeah.
I got to figure this out.
Yeah. That's crazy.
If it's in the 20s, that's just insane. He just doesn't have experience kicking in the regular season.
No. Are you going to be mad if they run it back with him next year? Or do you got to get rid of this guy now?
You don't got to get rid of him. Like I like Tyler Bass, but there was something in his head. Like the Bills go for it a lot on 4th down too. So that's the other thing. You either get a reliable kicker, more reliable than Tyler Bass, or you give him more chances during the regular season to prepare for these types of moments.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be really cold. It's hard to kick in that type of weather. It was really cold.
I just think it's crazy. Like to bring a guy back that missed a field goal of that magnitude. Like that's all they're going to be thinking about all the next season. And I feel like unless they change teams, there's no avoiding that.
Exactly what was this year? He was 24 for 29, under 30 like I expected because they don't kick the ball a lot. Every time I look at the box score, they have no field goals attempted.
Yeah, he wasn't like a fantasy kicker or anything like that.
Oh hell no!
For being on an elite team.
He made 24 field goals. That's almost a little over 1 per game.
Yeah.
That's it because they don't kick the ball. They either go for it on 4th down if they're in the opposing territory, or if you got to kick it because it's so long, they'll do it. But it's just unbelievable. Like, let's pull up Justin Tucker. He's going to have more than 30, 100%.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Cairo Santos is probably pushing 40.
Let's see. Justin Tucker.
While you're looking up him, I'll look up Santos. Cairo Santos.
I'd go out to say that what's his name? Tyler Bass, maybe out of all the top teams, had the least amount of chances to kick this year.
Yeah. Cairo Santos made 35 field goals this season.
Exactly.
And 31 extra points.
Dude, everybody gets 30, but Bass couldn't even get 30.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I can't find. How do you find that? Football Reference?
Yeah, Football Reference. It just shows it right there on their page. Um,
32 of 37,
wow.
almost 40. Like literally, Bass is in the 20s. What do we like? He doesn't kick. You either get a reliable kicker or give him more chances to kick. You need
But
if
like,
you're
are you going to tell Josh, hey, Josh, can you not score touchdowns? Like, we need him to get some kicks.
no,
That's what it is. The Bills are unreal at scoring touchdowns.
and so are the Ravens.
Yeah, well, are they as potent as the Bills though?
They looked like it this weekend,
Well, yeah, and
but it's like
they're playing next weekend too.
either
So
that or if you're from Buffalo or you're playing for a Buffalo team outdoors in perhaps some of the craziest weather you could get in the NFL, you have to learn how to kick in those conditions. It's kind of like kicking in Chicago with the wind.
yep,
And Cody Parkey couldn't figure it out. I don't get it. You have to be better prepared for situations like this.
I
That's all I
understand.
gotta say. Not
Well,
a field goal kicker you want to draft in fantasy.
nope. And Frankie hates field goal kickers of all shapes and sizes these days. All right, Frank, let's preview the divisional round and make our picks. You got the NFC Championship game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions.
I'm going with the 49ers here. They probably figured I would go that route. 49ers, it just seems right. Once again, at home, championship game, a spot Detroit hasn't been in like 60 years, right? Maybe the 60s it was the last time they had a chance for this. Brock Purdy, serviceable, like I keep saying. Defense is better than the Lions' defense. All signs to me point towards the 49ers. Lions can keep it close. I think kind of like the Packers, though, same thing. I think they kind of run away with it at the end of the game. At the end of the day, I think the 49ers will pull it out.
Okay. I got the Detroit Lions. I think the Lions are going to go to the Super Bowl for the first time.
I think it is like 60 something years, isn't it?
Yeah, they never won the Super Bowl. Well, I don't. Have they made it to a Super Bowl? I don't even think they've made it to a Super Bowl. They've made it to an NFL championship game, maybe, but while it was called the Super Bowl, I'm not sure. Um, I'm going with the same theory that I went with the Packers. The Packers allowed the 49ers to score under pressure. I think if the Lions put pressure on San Francisco, it'll be way different than the Packers putting pressure on San Francisco, and they could build on it and use those outstanding receivers that they have, Amon-Ra St. Brown, some of these other guys, David Montgomery, the impressive back or the running back that they have. Jared Goff makes plays in the playoffs. That's just what he does. He's already led one team to the Super Bowl. Is he going to lead another to the Super Bowl? There are only like 6 or 7 guys in the history of the NFL to ever lead their team to Championship Sunday with 2 different franchises. Goff is now one of those. He led the Rams to the Super Bowl and lost. Well, there's not going to be a Tom Brady there this time, but there will be an elite quarterback on the other side, regardless of who they play if they make it. I I'm going with the brand new Lions to get this game. I have a funny feeling. I think it's going to be the Lions.
Yeah, they've never made it to the Super Bowl. They're one of 3 teams, or no, 4 teams, to never make it to the Super Bowl, but they did win a championship in 1957, which was, yeah, like what I said, like 60 something years. I haven't been in this type of position before, but crazy. VP's
Absolutely.
going with the Lions.
And then in the AFC Championship game, that's the real meat and potatoes. I think
That's
both
six, hopefully.
both both games are incredible. I really do think both games are amazing. But you got the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs going up against the team that was the best team in the NFL all season long, the Baltimore Ravens. Frank, you wearing purple for a reason?
No, I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm rooting so hard for the Ravens, so hard. But I'm going to
You're a
use my
broken man. You're
I
rooting for a Steelers rival.
I am rooting so hard for the Baltimore Ravens so bad. I really want them to beat the Chiefs. I got to use my brain in this situation. I mean, Patrick Mahomes proved it last week that they're just a different breed. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, when it comes to the playoff, they beat the Bills. I thought that was where the buck stops for the Kansas City Chiefs. But when he's on a roll in a playoff and you got Andy Reid coaching you in the playoffs, they just find ways to win. It's his second ever playoff road game for Patrick Mahomes. True road game. As much as I want the Ravens to win, I'm going to use my brain to pick the Chiefs, but I'll be rooting heavily for the Ravens.
Wow.
I think the Ravens are better on offense, defense, just everything. But he's going to find a way to win.
I agree. I picked the Chiefs as well. I thought for sure. I didn't come here planning to disagree with you. I just say what I think. I picked the Chiefs. I thought you were going to pick the Ravens and we were going to debate on both games, but we're not. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes. I think
Mike's got to pipe down a little bit here.
he's the new Tom Brady, right? He's the baby goat. And Tom Brady was always there. You'd be an idiot to pick against him. If you picked him to make it to the Super Bowl every year of his career, you would have been right half the time. And, in the Super Bowl, if you picked him every year he was in the Super Bowl, you would have been right more than half the time. So I feel the same way about Mahomes. We're going to have a discussion on probably the off week, which is next week, our next show, the week in between the Championship Sunday and the Super Bowl. What would Patrick Mahomes need to do to break Tom Brady's not record? There's no record. Like, no record makes you the GOAT. But what will make us call Mahomes the GOAT over Tom Brady? Right now, I have him ranked 4th. I would rank Patrick Mahomes 4th on the all-time great quarterback list. I would go Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, Patrick Mahomes. That would be my ranking in order right now of the all-time great quarterbacks in NFL history. Mahomes is not done climbing that list. I think 2 is his floor, which I could possibly consider him number 2 by the end of this year. And number 1 is in the cards. Nobody loves Tom Brady more than me. I've grew up rooting for that guy like nobody else. He's my favorite athlete in any team sport ever. And football is like, it's barely, but it's below hockey and baseball even. But like very barely. I love all 3 very much. But that's Tom Brady. And I think Mahomes could do that. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not sure that I'm going to be picking against Patrick Mahomes anytime soon. I think this is another year where the Chiefs at least get to the Super Bowl, and they might have beaten the Bucs if their offensive line wasn't so injured that year. Like, they were starting third stringers. Mm-hmm. Patrick Mahomes was running for his life, and he still had I think that's statistically his best Super Bowl was the one they lost. Which is also another Tom Brady thing. Tom Brady's best Super Bowl statistically, he lost the one to the Eagles. But it's crazy times in football. There is a guy that good at just finding ways to win. Even when games where he doesn't look as spectacular as we're used to seeing, they find a way to win a football game. And you agree with me just as much as anybody else. If Bass makes that kick, Mahomes finds a way with 1:50 to get them into field goal range. You just know it would have happened.
But I wanted to see what
I understand. Dude, I was just chirping. Obviously, you never know what could happen. A guy could make a great play and make an interception.
If Diggs makes a catch, then Mahomes might need a touchdown at the end of the game.
Exactly. Well, it is funny. My Super Bowl prediction is that the season is going to end the way it started.
What do you mean?
The first game of the season was Thursday Night Football between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs.
And the Lions got the best of them.
They did.
This would be a payback.
Was that the game? Was it Marquez Valdez-Scantling dropped the ball? Or no? Was it him who dropped it? Someone dropped a big game-winning like a catch that would have really given the Chiefs a chance to win. And he dropped it, and the Lions took over on downs or whatever. I forget exactly how it went, but I remember the receivers were the big story at the end of that game, and that's when people realized that it was the brand new Lions. It would be so Patrick Mahomes to find a way to get revenge on the first game of the season.
It's possible. But you wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens won.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if any of these 4 teams won the Super Bowl. I am beyond surprised.
Well,
I
I
told
just
you,
meant that matchup against the Chiefs.
I don't believe frauds make it to the Elite 8. I barely believe frauds make the playoffs. Every now and again, like the Cowboys, they weren't a fraud. They are a perennial playoff choker, but they were a very good football team. Like there's no doubt in my mind that they are not a fraud, but they are a perennial playoff choker. There's a difference in my opinion. Every now and then there's a fraud. This is going to sound mean, but remember last year when the Steelers made it, they were the 7 seed and they just got absolutely rocked in the first round. That's kind of like a fraud making it. Or last year, the Bucks were a fraud because Tom Brady, they were 8-9 and they made the playoffs because their division stunk. So that's a fraud. But like for the most part, you make the playoffs. You made the playoffs for a reason. Oh, and Cincinnati was a fraud when they made the playoff in college a couple years ago. I tried to warn you. Group of 5. Group of 5 schools are just.
You got to root for the underdog.
I'm with you. Not in that situation. Not when it's costing me like good football. It's the argument like against Florida State, but Florida State. I don't know. I probably sound like a hypocrite because Florida State deserved to make it, but I realize the college football playoff wouldn't have been as good as it was had they made it.
They would have got smoked, and then
yeah, it wouldn't have been a treat by any means, and both games were treats on that semifinal day. Frank, the Bears hired a new offensive coordinator. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, he's fine. He has 10 seasons of coaching under his belt in the NFL. Spent the last 3 with the Seahawks as their offensive coordinator. Yeah, I mean, he's fairly decent. I'm excited to see what he brings to the Bears team, but I have nothing to really say.
It all depends on the quarterback. I don't care who is the offensive coordinator. You could bring back Buddy Ryan from the dead. Was he the defensive? He might have been the defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator. You could bring back whoever you want that was considered an all-time great offensive coordinator. And it all depends on the quarterback. People loved Luke Getsy when he was with Green Bay. When the Bears got him, people were bashing their pom-poms when the Bears got Luke Getsy. We got the Packers offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers was a 2-time MVP under him. Well, that's because Aaron Rodgers is one of those all-time great quarterbacks to ever live. And he won 2 MVPs. Luke Getsy comes to the Bears with Justin Fields, and everyone wants his head on a torch, Game of Thrones style. That's ridiculous. It's largely has to do with the quarterback. I really don't care who the offensive coordinator is until I see the quarterback. It's just the way I feel.
Does the offensive coordinator make you think they're not going to stick with Fields?
So I heard some arguments for why it could mean they're going with Fields and why it could mean they're going with Caleb Williams.
Because to me, if you go with Caleb Williams, everybody goes new offensive coordinator, new everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They got new everything except head coach.
I know. So that's
it could be Caleb Williams. The argument for Justin is this guy with Seattle took a guy that was struggling to live up to his draft stock and turned him into like a really good player. Geno Smith, not like a super duper star, but you can win games and get into the playoffs with Geno Smith. He's a good player. I don't know. Could you win a Super Bowl with him? I think you could win a Super Bowl with anybody that doesn't turn the ball over if the rest of your offense is great. But I also think like you need to be able to score points. Geno Smith was able to score points with the Seahawks. So yeah, there's an argument that it could be either way. They did not show their hand with this hire, in my opinion.
No, not at all.
That could go either way.
I agree.
They'll either Geno Smith it again, or they'll start from scratch with a new offensive coordinator. I really don't think this hire shows their hand. Now you can have an opinion on what they should do. I just don't think this hire should persuade anyone's opinion one way or the other. It doesn't give me any insight or clue whatsoever. We talked about how we're going to watch the Royal Rumble together on Saturday, along with some college hockey and some NHL hockey. I'm kind of glad there's no football on Saturday. I like both games being on Sunday for Championship Sunday. One, because Championship Sunday is like royalty. Two, so much damn sports going on Saturday. I can't handle it if there was
I
a
know.
football game. There's college hockey and NHL hockey and the Royal Rumble. Oh my goodness. What do you think about the Royal Rumble? Are we
I'm
playing
very.
that game where everybody chooses some? Do
Oh,
I
of
get to play?
course,
Do I get to participate in that?
of course. If you want, it's
Of
$10
course.
per
Of
per
course I want. And you
thing.
know who else wants? Katie.
All right. Well, you bring
Apparently,
some.
I found out she's been to Royal Rumble parties before where they
Well,
make picks just like that. I'm like, I've never even done that.
bring some coin.
Coin I will have.
I'm very excited for the Royal Rumble. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. I'm excited to get to watch it with everyone. It's one of those events that even if you don't watch wrestling religiously, you're going to have a great and memorable
Yep.
time. So I'm excited for it. I have no idea what's going to happen. There's a men's and women's Royal Rumble. I think what happens is we each choose a number 1 through 10, 11 through 20, and 21 through 30. Like it's random that each of us gets 3 numbers like that. And then you get a golden number randomized from 1 to 30. So it could be a high, middle, or low. You don't know. And that one's worth $20 you'd owe the winner if that one wins, which it happened. My golden number won and Joey paid me 20. And each other number, if they won off that, you just owe them 10. But we do that for both the men's and the women's. So
Very
if you want
good.
to get in, you could get in. If not,
I'm
just
excited.
watch it for fun.
And what I like about the Royal Rumble, there's been winners of all sorts, right? The
Yep.
guy who comes in first has won. The guy who comes in last has won. Someone
Yep.
in the middle. It doesn't feel like one way or the other. You truly don't know who's going to win. You're not boned if you have number 1.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
And you're not guaranteed to win if you have number 30.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting number 30.
I think number 30 has won as many times as number 1.
I believe it.
I think that's what they said. The number 30 spot is one. You don't know. I mean, it's literally could be anything.
Do we don't know who they are? You never
don't know the order of the entrance. No.
Do you know any of
You could look up some of the entrants,
but not all
30.
Someone could come back.
Yeah.
The Rock could be in it.
Right.
Like somebody who hasn't been in a while. The Undertaker.
Yeah. Like
Has the Undertaker wrestled since his retirement?
No. He probably won't be in it, but like people of that nature can be in it.
Is it possible though? What % chance am I seeing the Undertaker?
Probably
Don't say 0.
Less than 1.
Probably. Less than 1. What are the odds
Where
I
is
see
it this year?
What are the odds
in Texas?
What are the odds I see Cena?
Oh, there's probably maybe 12%.
Okay. What about like Seth Rollins will be in it?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. The only people who won't be in it really are the champions. Is he I don't know if he's the champion because the winner of the Rumble gets to challenge the champion at WrestleMania.
Got it. Will I see my guy Roman Reigns?
No, I think he's a champion, isn't he?
I don't know.
If The Rock won, they're saying
probably pre-COVID since the last time I've watched any wrestling whatsoever.
Me too.
I'm actually really looking forward to watching some wrestling. I'm not gonna lie.
It's in Tropicana Field in Florida.
Okay, the home of the Rays.
So is there anybody? I mean, you could see a celebrity. We've seen a celebrity. I'm pretty sure like Bob Barker or somebody entered the Royal Rumble.
McAfee? Anyone?
That's a very. I'd say he's likely out of more than John Cena. Or
that'd be sick. That would just. Oh my god, that would make me so happy. Oh my god. What about, is Ronda Rousey still involved with the women?
I think so.
It'd be cool if she came out with in the girls match.
I think The Rock is a very big possibility.
If you smell,
Dylan thinks Punk's gonna win it, but of course he's the big Punk guy.
Punk stinks. Overrated buffoon.
Don't tell him that.
Oh, I have. My favorite picture of all time was when the Devils invited Punk to the Rock, because I think there was a wrestling. It was probably just a typical Monday Night Raw or something at the Rock, and he had Devil's gear on, and he was putting it on kind of like with a sour face because it's not Blackhawk stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, you put on that Devil stuff, CM Punk. You put on that Devil stuff. You wear that Devil's crest. You wear that NJ Devil horn. Let's go. Put that shit on, you dweeb."
I'm excited.
Hell
you
yeah,
hear the
I'm
music?
pumped. Yep, that's the best part about wrestling, in my opinion, is the entrances.
Oh my
God. Burner. I know it's not a song anymore, but that used to really like get me going. Or when Seth Rollins would come out and it was like those heavy metal double
Uh-huh.
bass. Burn it down. Oh my God. It's been a while since I've watched professional wrestling, and I'll tell you, I'm excited to watch the Royal Rumble. Like,
It's fun.
I am truly stoked. I really can't wait. What time does it start locally?
I thought Dylan said 7,
That would make sense.
but I thought they always started at 6.
I don't know,
Unless
but the
it's
women go
changed.
first, right?
No, it's random each year.
Oh, okay.
It's however they want to end the show or present the show.
Got it.
I've seen it be the main event, the women's,
Yeah.
to
I
end the
mean,
whole pay-per-view.
there have been years where the women's was better. Like,
Yeah,
not even close.
100%.
I think with the way it is right now, you'd probably assume it's pretty even, but hopefully that's the case because I just want both of them to be what we would call for football treats.
Me and Joey haven't watched since COVID when they were doing it with no fans and it
Mhm.
was all digitally. So we haven't watched it since then. So I have no idea what to expect.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm pumped. I really can't wait. Like Devils on computer,
Sure.
honestly, during it. That's how excited and when we were all into it at that one point, I was never into it like you, Joey, and Dylan, but I would watch the Big Four no matter what. I didn't miss
Oh, I
the Big
love the
Four.
Big Four. Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
miss the Big Four. But now I'll tell you what, Frank, if we're watching the Royal Rumble here, we better have a get together for WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
We better not half-ass this shit. Like, I'm watching WrestleMania now. If I'm watching the Royal Rumble, we are watching WrestleMania.
And it's
So,
great that like literally it's on Peacock now.
yeah, that is nice.
You don't have to pay per pay-per-view.
Yep. That is nice.
It's nice.
Or that shitty ass WWE app that Joey
The
used to have.
network, the
That
WWE.
that shit just straight up didn't work. That shit was fucking more broken than like
We would
Peter
use
Parker's
Dylan.
heart. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. It was more broken than America's favorite podcast segment of the week, Breaking Bets.
Where's my money, bitch?
That was good. That was pretty
That went so long though. I don't even have to be ready and I can still prepare.
I know. That's true. That is true. I agree. All right, Frank. It's time for America's favorite podcast segment of the week. Sing it.
No, not with this record. Not with
Frank,
this.
really quick before you get going. Be honest. If you lie to me right now, you better not lie to me. Did you lose money when the Vegas Golden Knights were were dogs against the New Jersey Devils 2 nights ago?
No.
You didn't bet on the Vegas Golden Knights as dogs. Oh, I thought for sure you were going to throw
I thought about it.
I thought
thought
for
about
sure you were going to throw a little cha-ching, and then Luke Hughes and Tyler Toffoli would have jammed it down your throat. And there are only 2 times where I root for people to lose bets, especially you.
That's fine.
It's only when you fade me or when you pick against my teams. Those are the only 2 times. I hope you lose every penny you put on it when you bet against my teams. I'm not saying you, everyone.
No, right. I hear you.
But if you, I was almost hoping you put money on Vegas.
I saw that they were dogs, and I was like,
both teams are missing their best player, so you look at who. Like, there are a lot of things you could look at.
Yeah, no,
All right, on to this week.
VP,
Hopefully, you picked the Devils.
I did not. I didn't know they played.
No, they play tomorrow.
Oh, I usually like to choose games that like they play on the Wednesday
for sure.
So there's one intriguing one because I saw good value here. It's between the Jets and the Maple Leafs. Jets are plus 110 on the road, and I like it. I got to be honest. I don't know why anyone would take the Maple Leafs right now at a minus price. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games. The Jets are the quite opposite. They've won 8 out of their last 10. They're coming off a lopsided loss to the Bruins. But the way the Jets and Maple Leafs have been playing, I love taking this opportunity to take the Jets at plus money here on the road. I mean, Connor Hellebuck is in the driver's seat for the Vezina, and you don't see him lose too many games back to back. So I love this spot for a big rebound game for the Hellebuck and the Jets. So I'm going to take the Jets money line at plus 110 for 2 units. I really do. I think this is a great opportunity here. There's another game now in the NBA. This one's a little weird. The Charlotte Hornets are playing the Detroit Pistons in Detroit, and Detroit's the favorite, VP. The 4-39 Detroit Pistons are the favorite. I looked at the injury report for the Hornets. There was nobody on the injury report, and I could count on one hand how many times the Detroit Pistons have been favored this season. A whopping total of 3. This will be the 4th. And in those games that they were favored, they ended up losing all 3 games. The Hornets are by no means, they're not a great NBA team, the Hornets. They only got 10 wins. They're ass just as well. But I can't justify myself taking a team that is 4-39 as 2.5-point favorites. They need to worry about just winning the game, let alone covering. And maybe this is a trap because it doesn't make sense, but I'm going to keep it small with 1 unit and take the 2.5 points versus the worst team in the NBA as probably as good as you'll ever get against the Pistons team. You're not going to get better than plus 2.5 against the Pistons team because they're barely favored as it is. But we're going to roll with the Hornets plus 2.5 at minus 110 just for a unit, just in case it's a trap. But can't justify myself taking a team that's 4-39. So that is my second pick. And then got to give an NFL pick because this will be my last NFL pick before the Super Bowl. Got the Chiefs and the Ravens. I'm going to take the Chiefs at plus 3.5. Bet to win 10 units. Bill screwed me last week with the 10-uniter. But the Chiefs, I got to take the Chiefs in 3.5. Like, it didn't pan out last week, but this line is perfect to jump out on. The Chiefs in the playoffs are just a different story. Chiefs open up as 3.5-point underdogs against the Ravens. I'm pulling heavily for the Ravens, but to get the Chiefs at plus 3.5 as the regular non-adjusted line is something we're taking and going big on. The 0.5 hook is really what sealed the deal for me on this one, because even if the Ravens end up pulling out a win, there's a good chance that it's probably by 3 points or less. So I can't pass up taking playoff Mahomes and playoffs Andy Reeves with this many points. We learned that last week. So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not going to fall for it again this week. Taking the Chiefs plus 3.5. Bet to win 10 units at a minus 110 price.
Wow. Very good, Frank. Very good. I hope you're back up to 50%, 500 with our next show.
I know. Horrendous.
Yep. Tough. It happens. It when it happens early in the calendar year, a little more magnified. You know,
because there's not as many picks.
Exactly. But you'll get hot. You'll get hot starting now. Hopefully. I hope everybody enjoyed our show today. It's a shorter than usual show, even though we're approaching 2 hours, so it's not really that short of a show at all. Very happy with how the show went. We got a lot of news to cover, a lot of college hockey talk. I really enjoyed that. And of course, the NFL. Big week for everyone rooting for the brand new Lions. Very much looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be outstanding. And make sure you watch lots of hockey. There's lots of hockey coming up here that is just muy bien. Muy bien. Next week, we'll preview the All-Star game.
Yes.
Because that is what is going to be coming up. The draft will be the day after our show, so we won't know the teams, but it'll be still cool to preview the All-Star game anyway and kind of talk about what we hope happens and whatnot. But very much looking forward to it. And make sure you're following Frank on social media at the King Bean. You can follow me at Vinny Parisi. Frank, is there anything left you have to get off your chest before we get on out of here?
I'm looking for a very eventful weekend.
Very eventful weekend. Me too. Me too. We're going to get to hang out again. That's always fun.
Yeah. I'm happy you're going to be there. It didn't sound like you were.
Nah, I usually find my way over for these kinds of things. So
good.
Very much looking forward to it. That's probably 2 weekends in a row because I assume maybe you'll come over for the All-Star game too.
It's probably a good chance.
Probably a good chance. Very much looking forward to it. Make sure you follow us on social media at Barroom Network. And, of course, you have our Twitter handles that I just said. They're on the bottom of the screen as well. The rest of the shows here on the Barroom Network. Got a lot of football coming up. A lot of people talking about the new offensive coordinator hiring for the Chicago Bears. I don't know. I have no insight on when South Burbs Hitman is returning. I know the White Sox are going to be shitty again this year, but we'll still watch plenty of baseball. There's going to be baseball chat on this network all season long, so very much looking forward to that. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Enjoy the rest of the NFL season. The NFL season is like a sandwich. And at the end of the sandwich is a piece that has all the meat, all the cheese, all the best sauces, and all the best toppings. It is just the best bite. You're almost done with the sandwich, which sucks. It absolutely sucks that you're almost done with the sandwich. But it's the best part of the sandwich.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the sandwich starting this Sunday. And as always, thank you for listening.
Thank you.